Alright, so today I'm gonna go through a couple of drills that I do on the grom, just in case anybody's curious. Um, Basically all you need is a parking lot where you're allowed to be, and a couple of cones or tennis balls or whatever. This parking lot happens to come with a couple of cones that people, I guess, use for parallel parking practice or something. So the first thing I'm gonna try doing is just circles around the cone. So just my goal for me is to do this road race style, and then my goal is to not go fast, not try to do anything except get comfortable circling as close as possible to the cone. So that's my goal for this one. Let's go try it. So the next thing to try is doing the same thing but with two cones, so transitioning from lefts and rights. Couple of key points here. If you go too slow, the bike will actually fold up on you. You'll kind of just end up stuck underneath of it. It's not dangerous per se, but it is kind of weird, and sometimes it's a very awkward thing to like shimmy out of from under a bike. So you do want to keep a little bit of speed and keep a steady throttle. The other thing is, when I'm at that cone, I'm trying to look for that cone. When I'm at that cone, I'm trying to look at that cone. So big head turn definitely helps. Yeah, you can't really get your head all the way around because ergonomics, but even just thinking about looking over there will help. So for the next thing, I'm going to grab a couple of tennis balls and make a little square. So I guess I'll just use those two, and then I'll add a couple more. So this will be basically a decreasing radius turn, or a set of decreasing radius turns. So I'm going to go around all four, then I'm going to go around three, then I'm going to go around two, then I'm going to go around one, and then repeat in the other direction. So as you can see, even though I've been doing this for a while, it still constantly trips me up. It doesn't really matter what cone you're doing any of this stuff at. It doesn't really matter if you forget a step or whatever. The goal here is to get used to actually tightening up the line if you need to. Turning your head more, adjusting for a corner that's different. So that's one version of using that square. The other version is, in this case, I'm going to use the 2 tall cones as my U-turn cones, and then just go around the other one. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3 U-turn. 1, 2, 3 U-turn. And to make that drill worthwhile, you actually want to add gas when you're getting out of the U-turn and going around the corner, and then brake into the turn, trail brake into the turn or whatever. So obviously there's a lot of permutations of things you can do with 4 cones in a square. You can turn them into diagonals and U-turns and all sorts of stuff. It doesn't really matter what you do, but the goal with any of this is basically get used to being way over, handling traction, and then transitioning back and forth. Transitioning back and forth, looking for the next turn. This is the thing that's going to teach you that. Now, the next thing I'm going to try showing you guys, is when I basically toss cones randomly and then turn it into a track. So I'm going to toss some cones. Doesn't really matter where they end, and then I'll walk you through how that turns into a obstacle course of sorts. So let's go for a little walk and figure out what we're going to do. So color doesn't really matter for these. I just happen to have multiple color tennis balls. So these 2 guys kind of landed pretty close together. So I'm just going to combine them. That way they can be 1 turn. And then from here, I'm going to look around and see where the next ball is. So I guess this will be, let's just say we'll walk around the left side of it. Then here's a random other one. I guess the best thing to do would be to make a right around it. We still have these 2 standing together. So let's make this kind of a straight. We're going to go around the left side of both of them. Then make a sharp right, take a left around these 2 yellows. These 2 blues that I had from before don't really matter. So gonna make a left around these 2 yellows. Let's say make a left around the next one. And something to think about, if in your parking lot you have like piles of gravel or things like this, obviously you want to route around them. So I don't want to go anywhere near that. So I'm going to go over here and make some kind of right over here. So, assuming I made this right, I have like nothing tennis ball related over here. So I'm going to add something. Because this isn't a hard science. Like, just because I originally threw them random, I don't have to follow what my bad pitching skills say. So I'm gonna make a left around this, and there's a bunch of balls over there, so I'm gonna go do that. Make a right around that one. So the first couple of laps, I'm gonna take it pretty easy. Just get my bearings, realize what I have to look for. And as I start remembering what I'm doing, I'll speed it up a little bit. So in that little ride through, I found that the thing I thought was going to be a right-hander turned out to be nothing. So I split those cones up, and they're going to be a gate. So I'm just going to go through in between them. So let's see what this looks like from the onboard point of view. This is on my bars. This isn't where my head is, but that's the best place I've got to mount anything. Turn my head way left. Turn my head way right. Look for the yellow cones. There they are. Turn my head way left. Crazy zigzag portion. A lot of direction changes. Big direction change. Throwaway corner. Little right kink, and then back around again. So this camera mount may be a little too shaky, but I'm going to try to do this at speed with the camera on and see how well that works out. So there's that lap. Let's see what it looks like from the outside. So a couple of keys to this whole thing. One is obviously looking way ahead, trying to find the next turn. The other is figuring out which corners to throw away, because especially in this area with the right, left, really tight thing, the one that matters is the last right-hander. And the one that matters is the U-turn before the right-hander. The other ones, if you do them perfectly, you're pointing in the right direction and carrying too much speed. So you have to kind of pick the corners you want drive out of and then walk backwards, kind of like shooting a billiards combo, and make sure you figure out where you need to be in the corner before that in order to be pointed in the right direction. Now, after you get somewhat comfortable doing it in one direction, a complete mindfuck is going the other way. It completely changes the flow of everything, and you have to start relearning all over again. Some reasons you might want to not do this. One, if you don't have a lot of gear or a gear that you're really worried about, because groms are naturally twitchy, they do want to fall over. You end up basically pushing yourself really hard. You start running out of brain, running out of tire, running out of whatever. So if you're worried about falling, this isn't really the greatest activity. The other thing is, if you're still struggling with bike control, like if you're basically still working on just making the turn, even going slowly, this is probably not the greatest thing for you, because you'll just end up worrying about like putting your feet down. This is a fairly aggressive thing. This is more difficult than kart track once you start pushing, just because it's on such a limited space. But so yeah, that's the thing that we've been calling Yeet Grom Do. If you like this, hit like, subscribe, let me know in the comments if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments if you want more specifics about any of the drills or how I end up doing things. But yeah,